Hello, good morning, Europe. Good evening, Oceania. I feel like a Eurovision presenter right now. I feel like the kind of person who should be standing in front of a massive scoreboard and saying, oh, we've got 10 points for Ireland. Wouldn't that be wonderful? So we are going to get to Berlin. We're going to get to Buenos Aires. We're going to do whatever we need to do, but we're going to do it before the Americans because they're sleeping. And if you feel bad about, oh, but right now they're asleep and we're reading and we've got sprints, don't feel bad. Because I'm here to tell you right here, right now, they do it while we're sleeping. So we're going to get our own back today. We are going to get as close to Berlin as we can. We're going to get into touching distance of Berlin. We're going to get it done. Do let me know. Where are you joining us from today? What are you getting done? What are you going to be reading? What prompt are you reading for? Are you already in Berlin? Are you already leaving for Berlin? Are you sightseeing around the place? If you want some sightseeing recommendations, I'm your girly. What am I doing today? Where did I put my book? Here I am. I am reading The Woman Who Stole My Life by Marion Keyes. It's really interesting. It is about a woman who has locked-in syndrome. So I think the medical term for it is Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's so interesting to see what the world is like from somebody who physically cannot move anything except for their eyeballs. Sprint 1 might also be a breakfasty kind of sprint. I've had my morning coffee, haven't had anything to eat yet. So let's see where we go. Everyone in the comments, what are you getting up to? Hello, Luciana. It is 12 o'clock in the morning right now. We will see if I'm still here at 5. Well, you know what? If you're not here at 5, we will just get ahead of you. And that's just how the world works. Time to get that head start as America is asleep. Exactly. We're going to pull ahead of America. We're going to get to Berlin before any of them can even look at a map of Europe. We're going to get here before they get here. Happy time zone. I'm going to have second breakfast. Yes, I love the idea of a second breakfast. I think the idea of second breakfasts, it happens so often in my house that I've had something and then I'm still a little bit peckish when it gets to 11 or so. It's not ready for lunchtime yet, but I still need to have something. That's what we're going for here. And working on my Berlin book. What are you reading? Hello, everyone. Listening to tomorrow as I get ready to go to my local yarn festival. That sounds so exciting. I hope you have a really great day. Hello, hi. Got a lot of people here getting lit. I love to see it. Oh, click. Hi, Tracy. Thank you for joining us. Not all of us are asleep. Okay, but most of you are asleep and we're all awake. So do with that what you will. 25 pages away from Berlin. See you soon. You can absolutely do that in the first sprint. You can absolutely boss that out. What are you reading? Do let us know. Hello, we got some sci-fi representation. What other teams do we have here, everybody? Australia is indeed still awake. I think it's some parts of Australia, it's only 7 o'clock in the evening or so. So they are so ready to join us with our fight to get ahead of America. And I'm reading Pucking Around. Are you enjoying it? I'm in Australia reading my Take 2 book to get to Berlin. Yeah, you know what? DNFing is self-care. It doesn't matter what team you're on. It doesn't matter where you are in the book. DNFing is self-care. And if you are reading a book that you are not enjoying and you're just pushing through it because you feel like you have to get there, put it down. There is no point in reading a book that you are not going to enjoy just for the sake of a couple of points. Put it down, find something else. DNFing is always self-care. Then I have my options for sightseeing. That's fun. What have you got? Hello to Ireland. Hoping to finish Night Train to Marrakesh. Are you enjoying it so far? How far away from the end are you? Sightseeing around Berlin with an Absent Dream and Heartstopper. So I haven't heard of Absent Dream, but Heartstopper is one of my absolute favorite series of all time. I would kill and die for Nick Nelson and Charlie Spring. I would, if they asked me to run someone over, I will instantly go and find a car. Without question. Good morning from Prague. Good morning to Prague. I'm working on getting to Berlin via The Earth is Singing by Vanessa Curtis. That sounds like a really interesting title. How are you enjoying it so far? Joining from the US, but it's 3 a.m. and I'm doing math homework. See, that's my least favorite kind of homework. Anything that involves numbers. If you've been on a sprint where I've been involved before, you will know that mathematics is a language I will just never speak. I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, I was on with Margaret and Brittany, and accidentally said that we were a third of the way through the entire readathon. We weren't. We were a tenth of the way through the readathon. But the two of them just kind of looked at me going, okay, really? So I don't envy you doing the math homework. That's all I'm going to say. Just about to start Berlin with you with Her Last Move by John Marr. Oh, that sounds like a really great book. I know that John Marr is a really great writer, so I hope you have a really good time. 5 hours left in my audio for Running Close to the Wind, which is the same amount of time it would take for me to actually get to Berlin from the west of Germany. Yeah, I used to live in Dortmund for 4 years. And when I moved here to Berlin, it was a 6.5 hour drive. Now, we did stop. We did stop a couple of places halfway through. But it was about 6 hours on the road. So I would say we were probably driving for about 4.5 to 5. So that does sound very accurate. Finished my first sightseeing book in Berlin. Probably not the best audiobook to listen to late at night. House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. Yeah, I don't listen to anything that is going to make sure that I can't sleep. I don't watch anything that is going to make sure that I can't sleep, which is very difficult in October because October is like spooky season. So you have like all of the horror movies and you have all of the horror TV shows like Haunting of House Hill or American Horror Story or The Conjuring. Those were some of the stuff that I did last October. I didn't sleep throughout the entirety of October. I didn't sleep for a second. So I'm starting another book. Great. What book is it? Hope you're going to enjoy it. Hello, good morning. Hello. It's 9 p.m. in New Zealand, so I won't be on for super long. That's completely fine. You come and stay for as long as you want to. I've got plenty of place in the house, so whoever wants to come and stay for a little bit, come and stay for a little bit. I am reading Into the Drowning Deep. I know that that's a really popular one at the moment. That's your Berlin book. I know that that's a really popular one for this leg. So many people on Sprints yesterday were reading it. Need to get coffee and shower and finally get to Toronto. I believe in you. What are you reading to get you to Toronto? And then, do you have a book in mind for Buenos Aires? I just finished breakfast and made some strawberry tea ready to read. Yes, all we're doing here, we're getting as far into Berlin books as we can. We are getting as close to Berlin as we can. It's gonna be like the first person to touch the TV tower wins. I'm on my way to Berlin with a small sightseeing detour. Yeah, sightseeing has also got to happen. I'm going to tell you, as somebody who's lived in Berlin for 2.5 years, there is a lot to see in this city. There is a lot of things that you can do. There's a lot of places that you can go. You are not going to run out of sightseeing options in Berlin, trust me. 30% of the way to Berlin. Excellent. Still trying to get to Buenos Aires. So I'm reading Death of a Bookseller. I have heard so many good things about that. So I really hope that you're going to enjoy it. I think there's a second one. I'm not entirely sure. I'm on my way to Berlin, but right now I need to study for my exam on Monday. I hope that it all goes super well. Do let us know how it goes. Do come back and check in with us. Team Spooky. Okay, we've got some other teams representation here. Reading First Lie Win and starting to get hungry for lunch, but it's like an hour before lunchtime. Yeah, isn't that the worst thing? When you're like, I'm hungry. I really want to eat something. But time-wise, it doesn't add up. Time-wise, I got to wait for another couple of hours. Drives me insane every time. Reading Popping Around for Team Romance. Nice. We have got some more spooky. I'm on your team, Aoife, so Team Litfic. Yes, we've got some Team Let's Get Lit here. Hello. 136 pages away from 63 pages away from Berlin. Even better. Go Team Fiction. Let's get lit. Exactly. Let's get lit, everybody. I have a big book for me this round, so I'm glad that there's some Europe or UK time zone points. Exactly. This is the one thing that I fought for with this readathon. I told Brianna, I don't care if you guys are asleep. I don't care if you guys are dead to the world. I will be sprinting at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, my time. And I know that that's 4 or 5 in the morning. In the official readathon time zone, what care I? Genuinely, what care I? My sightseeing options are mainly Pinocchio or Last Night at the Telegraph Club for the first 2 sightseeing. That's a great idea. I have had my sights on Last Night at the Telegraph Club for a while, so I think I'm going to have to pick it up now, especially because it's going to get me a little bit of money. 109 pages left. I'm very excited to finish. I think you can definitely do it in these sprints. Do not worry, because I'm going to go for about 4 hours. After we have finished here, if you're still with me after the 4 hours, Margaret from the Word Nerd is going to be sprinting immediately after me, and we're all going to magically just zoom over straight to her channel where she'll be waiting for us. But we have got these 4 hours where all of them are conked out, dead to the world, we're going to get as much reading done as we can. Reading Jumper for the Berlin leg. Excellent. And we've got some more Team Sci-Fi. 75 pages away from Berlin, but I might take a break because the main character is getting on my nerves. I've had that. I've had a couple of books where I loved the book so much, but the main character irritated the hell out of me. Most recent one that happened was Good Material by Dolly Alderton. I absolutely loved the book. I thought that the story was so really intriguing, and the way that it was told was also really intriguing. But Andy, who is the main character with whom you stay for about 70%, 80% of the book, if I knew him in real life, I'd throw him off a bridge. That's all I'm going to say. I'm in the US. I should be asleep, but I'm sick. Oh, I hope you're getting better soon. I'm working on getting to Berlin with Evocation. That sounds interesting. It's really, really well written. It is about the Holocaust, but it is YA, and honestly, it's written so good. If I was a teen and this was my first ever book about the Holocaust, I'd be glad. That's great. Because I know that there are quite a few books about the Holocaust that don't particularly write it very well. I'm not going to name any names, but there are a couple of books that don't particularly write the Holocaust quite well. So I'm really glad that this one has got the great representation. Starting The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. I've really tried to get into him, but I just can't. There's a barrier. Hi from Scotland, carrying on with European travel for the monstrous gentlewoman, and hopefully we'll get to Berlin today. I think you will. We've got so many sprints on today. There's no chance you're not going to. Reading To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. That's another really popular one. We've got more from Team Sci-Fi here. Loved Into the Drowning Deep. Reading Electra by Jennifer Saint, but the book is so boring and it makes me sleepy. You know what? DNFing is self-care. If you are not enjoying it, you don't have to continue with it. I am in Japan, so personally really appreciate the timing of your sprints. Absolutely. I think it's like mid-evening for you guys, so maybe like a 5 or a 6 o'clock. All of my books are in boxes, but I'm finding audiobooks for some of them, so I can still count them as making my TBR shorter. Absolutely. I know that there's a lot of books on that physical shelf over there that I have absolutely just read them as an audiobook and said that is still taken off my TBR. It still absolutely counts. Love morning sprints. Normally need to rewatch them because not many people sprint in the morning. Well, here I am to solve all of your issues. Good morning. I always appreciate morning sprints. You're so welcome. That was me with the Rachel incident, which I know was your host favorite. Yeah, I've had a couple of people who say, I loved the book, but Rachel annoyed the hell out of me. So don't worry, you are not the only one, but you still got your free money. Guten Morgen, hello to Dublin. Why did I completely forget what the Irish for good morning is? Diolch Dublin. I agree. Good Material was such a good book, but Andy definitely needed a slice head slap by the end. Absolutely. Andy really needed a bit of a straighten up on a fly right, basically. It's from a family survivor. I read a few from authors who just didn't really well research. But my first Holocaust book was by a Czech survivor and was truly beautiful and horrifying. That is the thing about a really well-written Holocaust book. It will absolutely terrify you that people went through this in very recent living past. But they're so well written that it will just pull at every heartstring you have. DNF my previous book, but I need to get at least 51% for it to count. Correct. If you are over 51% of it, you can DNF and you can count the pages that you have read up to there. You cannot count an entire book as the DNF. So if I get to about here, I can count all of these pages. I cannot count all of these. So it does involve a little bit of mathematics, but it can be done. So everyone, shall we have our first sprint of the day? I think let's ease ourselves in with a nice little 1 hour. We're not going to go too hectic. We're not going to do anything too stressful or strenuous, but we are going to get some books read. Reading Drown the Sea by Alicia Kemp and having a great time. Fantastic. We love to see that you're having a good time. We're going to have a good time for the next hour. We are going to get all of our books read. Here it is. We're going to read them. We're going to get our books read. We're going to get to Berlin and we're going to see each other on the other side. Have fun getting shit done, everybody.
Now boarding flight AMZ 655 to Berlin.
So, welcome back, or welcome if you only just joined us here. How did your sprint go there? What did you get done? Did you read? Are you getting a little bit closer to Berlin? Do let me know. So, I started on page 67, and right now I'm on page 110, which is 53 pages, I think. And that's pretty decent going when you remember that throughout that sprint, I also had to clean up here a little bit because apparently 1,500 of you are coming to visit me. Did my laundry, hung that all out. So I think I've had a pretty productive morning. I think that's been pretty good. But do let me know in the comments, what have you been doing? What has your reading been like? Have you been doing something other than reading? And if you've just joined us, let us know where you are in relation to Berlin. Are you still in Buenos Aires? Are you still in Toronto? Are you doing some sightseeing around here? I think for the next sprint, I'm going to go a little bit longer. I'm going to go an hour and 15 just because it's getting close to lunchtime. It's 12:15 here now. I'm starting to get a little bit hungry. So I'm going to go and make something. I've got some leftover curry and I might put some rice together for that, which sounds chef's kiss really good. But still want to know what you guys have been doing. If it is morning or evening or night or middle of the night for you guys, let me know everything. I'm only 20% in. Well, we're at the end of the sprint now. This was well before the sprint even started. Where are you at now? Let us know how far you got in. It's by a French Jewish author. It was based on his own childhood, being sent by his father with his younger brother to cross the border into Vichy. It stayed with me all of these years. That sounds like such an impactful book. Maybe it's one I'm going to have to go and check out. Just got home from my exam. Sadly, June is exam season in Belgium. Yeah, I know that June is exam season in Ireland as well, so don't worry, you're not the only one. So going to take a nap until the end of the sprints so that I can read for the next sprint. Excellent work. What are you going to be reading? What are you going to be getting to Berlin with? Hello. I'm actually off to bed. That's totally fine because I'm working tomorrow, but it's 30% into how high we go in the dark. And right now, solid 4 stars. So good night to New Zealand. I took one bus only to realize I had to wait 20 minutes for the connecting one. I've had that happen goddamn so many times. I've had it happen where I get to my train stop and my train only goes every 20 minutes to get back to my house from the city center. It only goes on an every 20 minutes routine. So I have had to stand there and wait for 20 minutes a lot of the time because I've just missed it. But it does mean that I get to like sit down, get a coffee in the local coffee, like in the little coffee stand that's there. I can read my book. I can go on TikTok. I can do whatever I like for that little 20-minute sprint. Yes, that is at least it's sunny in Yorkshire. It's also really sunny in Berlin as well. I think it's going to be around a 24 or 25 degrees today, which is so nice. I am so excited to get out on my balcony and sit on the hammock when I've gotten my lunch finished. I think that's where I'm going to be for the rest of the sprint afterward. Red 9%. That is fantastic. Are you enjoying it so far? I'm on page 53, but I have plenty of time before it gets too late here. I got distracted planning things to do in England. That sounds so much fun. What are you planning? What are you thinking of getting done? Got 25%. Great. Got coffee, showered, and read to 23%. So look how much better you've already been doing in that sprint. I think you're going to go even better the next one. I finished Heartstopper and made progress in my audiobook. I am now at 63%. That's fantastic. Read 41 pages and cooked pasta for lunch. Pasta is also a great idea. There's quite a lot of pasta in my house at the moment. 24% in tomorrow. Enjoying it. 43% of my way to my trip in Berlin. Nice. Listened to about 10% of my audiobook and made breakfast of toast and smoked salmon. That sounds delicious. Almost 100 pages in and I'm in pain. I'm heartbroken. And no matter how many stories I read about the Holocaust, I am horrified by it the same way exactly. I don't think that there's any way that you can make it sound any way better because there is no way that anything like that can be justified or glamorized or make it sound better. There's no way that you can do that. I read 80 pages and made it to page 196 out of 330. That's phenomenal work. I think you're going to get to Berlin by the end of these sprints. Also going to have lunch now. Excellent. What are you going to have? My puzzles from Etsy arrived, and I will try to start them in the next sprint. Great idea. Are you going to listen to an audiobook while you're there? Hi, Julie. Just got out of bed and getting coffee, and 10% of my way to you. Excellent. What are you reading for this one? Just woke up. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Studied 10 pages of Roman law. That sounds so interesting. Is that in any way interesting? Is it like ancient Roman law, I'm assuming? Are you having as good a time as you can with it? 10% into sleep in a sea of stars. Just heard my mom's dog is going to sleep over today, so I need to find all the cat toys before then, or he's going to destroy them. Yes, dogs have no respect for anything that they can rip apart. Trust me. 50% on my way to Berlin and played around with Canva a little bit. That sounds so much fun. Went to a Doctor Who novella instead for that sprint, so I could finish it in one sprint. Not a convincing story, but a good palate cleanser. Sometimes you just need a palate cleanser. Sometimes you need something that is gentle, that is going to kind of just bring you back into sprint. I think sometimes you just need that. Gonna read Slaying the Shadow Prince to get to Buenos Aires. Hopefully I finish today and then pick up Edge Dancer for Berlin. That sounds like such a great book. Great ideas. Just joined during that sprint. Hello and welcome. Reading Tempest and Slaughter by Tamora Pierce for the Berlin leg. I'm in New Zealand, so it's 10:17, but I plan on staying longer since it's Saturday. Exactly. Saturday sprints mean that you can stay on a little bit longer. It is sunny in Berlin, and I don't know why it's sunny in Belgium, but we can send over a bit of it to you, so don't worry. Loving pucking around. That's fantastic. I have got that on my Kindle because I cannot hold that size of a book out. My arms just will not support it for so long. Thankful for the support. Well, I am so thankful that you are joining us. Had the Harry Potter Wizarding World on my list, and then I wanted to go to Brighton and to Bath. So if there's any suggestions for what to do there, please tell me. Well, I can't really help you for Brighton and Bath because I have never been to those two places, but I have been to London, and I have a lot of suggestions there that you can hit me up for. Joining in now after a surprise boiler break. Oh, that sounds so annoying. I hope it's going to be sorted really quickly. I hope you can get someone out for the weekend. Just joined, hoping to distract myself from life with lots of reading. Yes, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to have head empty, no thoughts, just book. That's what we're going to do. 20%, 27% into my book. I think we can get you a lot further. Figuratively speaking, doing some sightseeing in Berlin, but in reality, I'm at Costa having a coffee. Not my favorite chain, but the closest to my house. That's fair. Sometimes you got to go with what's nearby. Ancient Roman law. It's difficult, but it's very interesting. I would think that it would be quite an intriguing class to study. I think it would sound really interesting. Just got back from shopping, picking up new glasses. That is a great way to get some more reading done so that you can see it even clearer. 100 pages into Slaying the Shadow Prince to get to Berlin. I think we're going to get you so much closer. I wish I could audiobook, but I have none that I didn't pay for because my library doesn't do Libby or anything that's an e-library. That is really annoying. That was the one thing that annoyed me for this one, that you couldn't use Everand because a lot of the books that I read come from Everand. So it was a little bit of an annoyance for me for Toronto, but I'm glad that you could find a way around it. I'm also going to London. Have you heard of the British Library? They've so many literary things to look at. Fantastic advice. Gonna go prep some food. Not sure what to make. I'm gonna have to see what's in the fridge. Yeah, I already took a look in my fridge earlier on, so I'm a little bit ahead of you. For Bath, I advise visiting Mr. B's Emporium. It's my favorite independent bookshop. I've heard really good things about that. I know Victoria, from what Victoria read, she did a little day out in Bath recently, and she went to Mr. B's Emporium. She had a fantastic time. So if you want to go and check out her vlog, I think it's just called Visiting Bath. She will show you around the shop. Don't worry. For Bath, you have the ancient Roman baths, Jane Austen, and the nature that inspired the walking scenes for a lot of her books. I mean, that sounds like the perfect literary trail in the morning. What else would you want to do? Secret Tigers, do you have access to someone else's books right now? I use my brother's bookshelves for that one since I'm staying at theirs right now. Great idea. You can just borrow a book from somebody else. Why couldn't you use Everand? You couldn't use Everand for the Toronto prompt because you have to pay for the service. And it was something that you didn't pay for. It was a book that you didn't pay for. So you couldn't use Audible. You couldn't use KU. You couldn't use Everand because you do have to pay for those services. But you could use your library. You could use a book that you were given as a gift. You could use an ARC. You could use a book that somebody else owns that you borrowed or that you stole from them. You could have used any of those, but Everand just didn't work. If you are a Bridgerton fan, there are several filming locations in Bath. There you go. That's a great idea. So, as I said, we're going to go into a little 75-minute sprint right now. And we're going to come back then at the end of it. We've already been going for 10 minutes, it seems. So I'm going to reset the timer. And we shall see each other in an hour and 15 minutes. We'll have a little bit of a chat. We'll catch up with what we've been doing, and then we'll go and get ready to go visit Margaret. Should I go back to the start again? I think we should. It's only fair for you guys. See you in our 15 minutes. Have fun getting shit done, everybody.
Now boarding flight AMZ 655 to Berlin.
Welcome back, everyone. Very much almost forgot to unmute myself, which would have been really good because nobody is here to tell me that I am still on mute. I am on now page 160, so I think that's about 50 pages that I got there. Decent enough, considering that that sprint was a lunch sprint. I cleaned up a little bit afterwards, and I did the time zone math wrong. So we have got another sprint that we can do after this. Excuse me. I think we'll go for maybe an hour or so. But to make up for getting the time zone maths absolutely horrifically incorrect, how do you guys feel about a little hint from my side? Because I have got one hint for you guys, and that is that you can start seeing the first of the vlogs from the hosts, from Bree, from some of the producers. You can start to see those slowly start to trickle in very soon. And if I was you, I would go and watch those, because quite a lot of the hosts and the producers are going to start asking Bree for some tips, for some insights, for some insider trading information. So if you want to know a little bit about what's to come, maybe you'll find out a bit about how your team is doing. Maybe you'll get like a super vague thing that is only going to make sense to your team. I'd go and watch the vlogs. They're all going to start trickling in very soon. I can immediately tell you that one of the hosts, their vlog is going up today at 6 p.m. German time, so 12 at Eastern time, which is, I think, 5-ish hours from now. So if you want to get some of your hints, if you want to find out some stuff that nobody else is going to find out, that's what you got to do. So how did everyone do in that sprint? What did you get done? How many pages have you read? Are you getting closer to Berlin, or are you getting closer to Buenos Aires, or have you left Toronto? Would love to know how it's been doing. We've got some more suggestions for what Ozzy Gal can do when she gets to Brighton. LibriVox does audiobooks of classics for free. Yes, there were so many different options that you could have used for the first prompt that it kind of didn't make a difference to me that I couldn't use Everand by the end of it. I just went for so many different options. Hello, thanks for joining. And good night to Tracy. Thank you so much for coming with us as far as you did. Hello, everyone. Team General Fiction here. What book did you read for the dual POV prompt? I'm looking for some recommendations. Okay. Quite a lot of people on the team actually went for this. Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. Now, I will tell you, if you want to get out of Buenos Aires as quickly as you can, it's 548 pages. And as you are still in Buenos Aires, don't worry, because that is still going to count to the team's cumulative score. So it is still going to make a difference. With all of the pages that you read and you log for Buenos Aires will help the team by the end of this month. Another one that people went for is The Duke and I, the first Bridgerton book by Julia Quinn. I know a couple of people went for The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I'm trying to remember what I read, which should come to me quite quickly because it was only like 2 days ago. Looking over, I can see Good Material by Dolly Alderton. That's another really great book, and a lot of people went for it for that one. There's a couple. Maybe some people in the team chat will be able to help you. Maybe some people here on the sprint will be able to help you. Ended up reading Powerless by Elsie Silver. No genre points bonus, but I couldn't find a Gen Fic book for that prompt. Yeah. Sometimes you don't even have to read your own team genre. And it's not you have to read your team genre every single time. It is only 50 points. It is not going to make a huge difference if you don't read in your team genre every time. I can tell you for absolute certain, there are going to be team legs where I will not be reading a general fiction book, or I will not be reading historical fiction, because I might be a little bit wiped out from having read so much of it that I want to read a thriller, or that I want to read a romance, or that I want to read a nonfiction book. And there's no teams here that get a genre bonus for nonfiction, by the way. Nobody is going to get one of those. Popped on for maybe one sprint before bed. Start sightseeing in Berlin. Nice. What have you been reading for it? All right, Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo for that prompt. Great suggestion. Good morning, everyone. Reading Let Us Descend for Team Litfic. Nice. Thanks for joining. Read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for that prompt. Yeah, another great suggestion. There's our team captain for Team Sci-Fi. Good morning, Brittany. Hope your Saturday is going well so far. Brittany Loves Reading is on deck. Exactly. Reading Falling Hard for the Royal Guard by Megan Clausen. So this is a really interesting book for me in that I have it in 2 languages. I have a copy of the ebook on my Kindle in English, and I have an audiobook, I think it's the audiobook, in German. And I haven't decided which one it is that I'm going to read it for yet. But are you enjoying it so far? Just arrived in Berlin. Excellent. Did you enjoy your book? And what are you going to do for your first sightseeing? Read 16% of my book and then ate way too much pasta. Okay, here's the thing. There's no such thing as too much pasta. And that's one of those things where you put it into the pot and you think you've not made enough at all. So you add in a little tiny bit more. And that looks like it could be enough. And then you cook it and it's like this big. It's bigger than your head. There's so much room for error when you're cooking pasta. So don't worry. Knocked out a sightseeing comic book. Now back to my leg read with the annoying main characters. Sometimes if they're so annoying, you do just have to take a break. But if they get way too much, I would just DNF. DNFing is self-care. Started puzzle and read 1%. Nice. I am now on page 158 out of 230. 320. I cannot read numbers today. I read over 100 pages this time. That is phenomenal. So I feel like in the next sprint, you're going to be able to read, if not as much, maybe even more. Read to 35% and got dinner. Excellent. Yeah, we've got a couple of people being like, ooh, there's a surprise coming. Read a bit of The River of Silver. Did you enjoy it? If you watch Rainy's videos, you will learn something surprising. Oh, I love learning something surprising from watching a video. And I also love going to support some of my friends, some of my bookish faves. Always go and do that, particularly this month. They will have so much for you to discover. Did a grocery shop, listened to an audiobook, and got 54% of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Going to read my ebook now that I'm back home. Fantastic. Are you enjoying that one? Hello. Listening to the audiobook of The Diviners, and it is sufficiently creeping me out. Yeah, any book that is going to creep me out is an absolute 0 from me, but I'm so glad that others have loved it. Only just started, but I'm set to read for Berlin. Fantastic. What is the book that you are going to be reading, and what team did you sign up for? Read about 150 pages of The Spear Cuts Through Water. I think this is very much going to be on my favorites of the year. Oh, I love when that happens. When you read a book, you pick it up, and you immediately know this is the one. This is the one that's going to be the favorite of the year. Read a bit, and now I have headaches. I'm going to stop reading. That is completely fine. Self-care comes first. That is the thing that I have been saying for so many people. This is only one little extra part of your month. It's just reading a little bit more than you usually did. You still go to work, you still go to classes, you still go and hang out with your family or your friends or your partners or your loved ones. You still go and take care of yourself, eat right, sleep well, drink water, go outside, touch the grass, go into the water if it's warm enough to do so. Because in a lot of the places around the world, the water temperature is going to start to build back up. You have to take care of yourself. You have to put yourself first. And if you can feel like you are burning out, take a step back. There is no shame in taking that step back if you need to. I got to page 223 of 469. I started on page 146. That's phenomenal. Of We Hunt the Flame for Berlin. I'm enjoying it so far. Gonna go make some lunch and then I will continue reading. Fantastic idea. I read Margot Zimmerman, Get a Girl, a quick LGBT romance. Yes, sometimes you just need a little quick book to tide you over. Past the 100-page mark, enjoying my book. It is the last Tamora Pierce book I have to read, and I just want to reread her other books again. I've had that. Now that I am reading a Marion Keyes book that I haven't really read before, I have this feeling of I want to go back and read everything, or I want to read all of the new books that she's written, because she's written a couple of other new ones so far. One can only take so many family trauma books at the same time. That is so completely correct. You really do have to take a break from them as much as possible. Brittany is good. She's got coffee. Great. Me too. I'm on Team Fantasy, and I have barely read any fantasy so far. But reading what I want to read in the moment is more important than a bonus. That is so correct. You don't always have to go for the team bonus. And if you are being pulled in a different direction, if you are being pulled in the sci-fi direction, but you are on team romance, do not worry about it. It's just 50 points, and you do not have to read your team bonus for every single book that you read. You can go and read whatever it is that your heart desires. 15% of the way into my book and I upgraded my spreadsheet. Nice. I love a reading spreadsheet. I use Copal from G, and I've made a couple of kind of differences to mine. I've tweaked it a little bit to fit into what I do, but it is my favorite thing to do. I do it every single time for every single book. Listened to a bit of To Sleep in a Sea of Stars while I was tidying up the toys. Yeah, I am so mad that this doesn't have an audiobook easily accessible, because it would be so easy to clean up my house and get ready for the day. But I can't put that book in my ears. I have to get something else. Hello. Just rolled out of bed and got coffee, reading The Battle Drum to get to Berlin. Nice. Are you enjoying it so far? Good day to Berlin. First time commenting on a sprint. Thank you so much for making it this one. That's so interesting. I so love being that for you. I'm on Team Genfic. Fantastic choice. Reading Let Us Descend. Excellent. Reading A Wrinkle in Time for this leg. Decided to try the Scorpio races. I kind of mean it, as I'm in Cologne already. I mean, Cologne isn't too far from Berlin. I think you'll be okay. 50 pages into my Berlin read, feeling a little bit burnt out, so I'm trying to be gentle on the reading. Good idea. Like I said, put yourself first, and if you can feel the burnout, take a step back. We got some more good mornings. Enjoying Hitchhiker's Guide. Stephen Fry could probably read me the phone book and I would be entertained. Oh, I've had so many things like that. Julia Whalen can come and read out the instructions on my air fryer, and I will listen. I will be interested in every single word. She's phenomenal. We've got some more sci-fi. We've got some more fantasy. Has everyone had a favorite book for the readathon so far? I think I have. And I think my first book for the readathon was actually quite up there. Nothing has matched it so far. It was called I Hope This Finds You Well by Natalie Sue. And there were a couple of things that I didn't like about it. There were a couple of kind of, okay. But for the majority of the book, I was having a really good time with it. It's about a young woman named Jolene. Yes, I had the song in my head the entire time I was reading it. She is Canadian, but she has a Persian background, and she works in a kind of shop, but the office of the shop, I think it's kind of like an online place, and she will send emails to her coworkers and respond to their emails back, and she'll say the thing that's in her head, and she'll be like, I think you are the worst person in the world for heating up your tuna casserole in the microwave, and now the smell has to permeate the entire office. But then she'll highlight it in white and we'll just send the email on so that she knows her thoughts are out there, but no one can see it. Except that one day she forgets to highlight and turn the text into white, and everything that is in her head gets distributed to the entire office. And I loved this book. I thought it was so interesting because she goes through this kind of performance review for the rest of the book, so she's being very heavily kept an eye on. But the admin rights that she has gotten for her computer that they don't know that she has means that she can see everybody's emails, she can see everybody's chats, she can see everything. Huge GDPR breach. I'm not going to say that that's not okay. Huge GDPR breach, but I thought it was so interesting. I thought it was such a good book. If you pick up one book from my recommendations for the readathon, make it be this one. Make it be this one. It was so good, and I need somebody to talk about with it. I'm on Team Fantasy, and my first book that I read was sci-fi because it's a library book I needed to return. Yeah, I think because of the nature of the first prompt, there were a couple of people who would have had something that naturally just didn't fit super well. That it could have been a nonfiction book, or it could have been a library book that they were super close to finishing, but they had to finish it out anyway. So don't panic. You weren't going to have been the only one. I love the sprint spreadsheet. It's so helpful. It's how I found these sprints, but I want UK morning sprints. I may have to start them myself, but I haven't done a live before and I need practice. It's the thing. You just have to go and do it. There is no magic potion to it. But also, I'm going to be having early Saturday morning sprints. So like UK morning time Saturday sprints every single weekend of this readathon, apart from the last weekend of June, which, let me check the calendar, I think is like the 29th or the 30th. Yeah, June 29th is the only time that you won't be able to join me at this hour of the morning, because I will be busy that entire week, not just the weekend. But the rest of the time, I am so up for you guys joining me. I'm loving the Battle Drum. First book is The Final Strife, and I find the series super compelling. I love when you just find a series that you can escape into. Love me a reading spreadsheet. I combined G's Copilot with the 5-year master spreadsheet from Ali from the hardback border. I don't know this one, and now I'm going to have to go and check it out, because if there's a way I combine the two of those together, I'm in. Barbara Schmidt and Gabby, thank you so much for the Rex. Those are both on my physical TBR. So it sounds like you have got some perfect options to get you all the way to meeting us here in Berlin via Buenos Aires. Let's go for a 45-minute sprint that is just going to see us out until the end. Then we'll come back. We'll have a little bit of time to have a chat with one another. And by the time we get to Berlin, by the time we get to the end of the sprints, it'll just be time to go and spend some time with Margaret over at the Word Nerd. If you're here at the end of my sprints, you will be brought straight over to where Margaret is. So don't worry about having to look for the links. Don't worry about having to go and find anything. But do go and subscribe to Margaret. Go and subscribe to all of the hosts and all of the producers and all of the mods for this readathon. Show them all of your love. Show them all of your support. Let's get our final stretch of reading done. And we will see each other in 45 minutes. Have fun getting shit done, everybody.
Now boarding flight AMZ 655 to Berlin.
Welcome back, everybody. That was it. That was our last sprint. We've got a little bit of time that we can catch up with one another. Fill everyone in on what it is that you have been doing that last sprint. How close to Berlin are you getting? How far into your book have you gotten? I am at page 205, and I stopped for the last sprint at, I think it was 160, 167. So I think if I really put my mind to it, I could get a really good chunk of this finished today. I could probably get up to about 300 or 400 in this book, which would leave me to about here. I will be joining Margaret for her sprints later on for a little bit. I will be joining for as long as I can, but if I get up to this much, almost broke my bookmark. If I get up to about this 100 page left for Sunday, I think I'm doing pretty okay. How did you do? What was your sprint like? What did you get done? As a reminder, when we are finished with these sprints here, which we will finish up in about 10-15 minutes, we will be heading over to Margaret's channel. She's going to be taking us through for the afternoon for us here in the in Europe and in Australia. She's going to be taking us through the morning for everybody who is in the US and is just starting to wake up. But we have had a pretty good head start, I would say. We've had a really good head start on the US people. So don't waste it. Ali's spreadsheets are marvelous. This is interesting. I'm really going to have to get a look at them. I'm really going to have to check them out. I'm actually quite liking it. I can't wait to get finished, though, so I can join everyone in Berlin on Team Romance. Interesting. I think you're going to get pretty good. See, that's the problem. Either you completely forget to unmute yourself and you keep talking, or you forget to mute yourself when you've gone on a sprint. There is no in between. You will never get everything completely right. I did need to finish Evil Star first because I'd already started it. That is completely fine. You kind of, like, you can finish up the books that you've already started. You can log them for your sightseeing. You can log them for anything that you need to. But get finishing all of the books because, of course, every page counts and every point will count. Do you mean the Anthony Horowitz books from the Power of Five series? We're going to need to get somebody else's opinion on that. Good morning. Thank you for stopping by. Working till 5 p.m. and hopefully we'll get some reading done afterwards. What are you reading when you do get off work? I just made it to Berlin. Congratulations. I have 2 sightseeing prompts ready to bank for Team Fantasy. What are your 2 sightseeing prompts and what are your 2 books that you're going to read for it? Less than 2 hours left of my audiobook. It's fun, but I'm ready to be done with it. That is completely fair. I've had that feeling with books so many times, so don't worry. I've had that with a couple of books, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just reading it for the sake of reading it by now. But you are so welcome for having sprints at this time of day. Like I said, I'm going to be having them every Saturday for the rest of June, except for the last weekend. I'm already going to be doing a couple of things, but every other Saturday in June, please feel free to come and join me, and we will get as far ahead of the US as we can. Page 233, just under 100 pages read that time, and I'm determined to finish this. Everyone says I'm 73% done. Look at how close touching you are to Berlin. 64% into Slaying the Shadow Prince for Buenos Aires. Excellent. Are you enjoying it so far? Just crossed the halfway mark. I am confident I can finish today, maybe tomorrow morning if necessary. Great call. Always be prepared. Always have your book with you. Always be reading. If you are standing in line, if you are at the bus stop, if you are on the bus, if you are just sitting around waiting for the washing machine to be finished, always have your book with you and always get those pages docked in. 20% into my book, and I had an ice dolly. I think I'm going to have to go for one of those myself because it is starting to get really warm here. So I think I'm going to need that to cool me down just a little bit. I took my cat to the vet for her vaccine. I hope she was okay about it because we did have cats for a really long time. And I remember that one of them was so pissed about having to go to the vet that she genuinely broke the carrier. We had to get another one after that. That was her first and only time having to go to the vet, unfortunately, but she was not living for that at all. Sorted out all my recycling stuff and the laundry and cleaned the litter boxes. Look at how productive that is. I love that. Fantastic. 80 pages into The Time Traveler's Wife. I keep getting confused, but it's enjoyable so far. You know what? That's actually very much like this book. This book is also set in quite a few different times. So there's definitely one that's happening in the present time of the book, and then there's another one that is happening in the past. But I can't differentiate between the two at the moment. You can tell that there's different times because they're in different fonts, but I don't know which is the one that is presently happening and which is the one that happened previously. There's no real way for me to figure that out, and I really wish that they were, because it's getting to be a little confusing. And also, I haven't met the titular woman who's going to steal the main character's life yet. And we're getting a little bit too far into the book for it to be just a surprise. It's this person that we've known the whole time. So I'm a little bit confused about it. I'm a little bit kind of concerned as to where we're going to go. But you know what? I'm going to keep going and I'm going to see where she takes me. 56 pages left in my sightseeing book for 500 points, plus genre, plus LGBT bonuses. Let's go lit. Let's get lit. Let's go team lit fiction. Read 44 pages of my sightseeing book for our team. Fantastic. You enjoying it? Read about 120 pages today. That is phenomenal work. But my headphones are giving me a headache, so I'm either going to read Broken Bonds on my Kindle or take a nap. Like I said, get your self-care done. You do not have to keep pushing yourself if you are not feeling like reading, even if it is reading with your eyes and you need a break from taking within your ears, or you want to do it the other way around. If you need to take the break, take the break. I'm on page 199 of 477 of Going Bovine by Libra Bray. This book is ridiculous and I love it. I love a ridiculous book that you're just staring at it and you're like, what the hell has been going on here? I got one of Ali's spreadsheets every year. They're fantastic. I also edit them a bit, but luckily not much. I like that is something that you can do with them. They are a really great base. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the cop-out spreadsheet that we have, and I have been using it every year since 2021, I think was when I first discovered them. But I've tweaked it to make it work for me, and I have tweaked it to include, like, I like to keep track of, am I reading the books that I buy every single year? So I think it's in Source. One of the drop-down options that I've made is bought in 2024, for example. And then I also like to keep track of what color covers am I reading the most, because particularly after the amazing readathon last year, I was reading a lot more books that had a yellow cover because I was on the team yellow last year. So I wanted to see how much of a kind of distribution was I having for the colors throughout the year. Let's see where we are actually for the most read colors across 2024. If I had to make a guess, even without having looked at my spreadsheet already, I would say I'm reading quite a lot of blues. I'm reading quite a lot of reds, quite a lot of pinks. So let's see where we are. I tried to make the color one a little bit colorful. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but we've definitely got quite a lot of blue. We've got a couple of whites. We've actually got equal amounts of purple, red, and orange, which I wasn't expecting. Yellow is obviously quite big. Black, not turning up as much as I thought that it would. And then greens and yellows and purples will just like fly into place as well. But when you were taking part in the colors part last year, did you find it really hard to find books that were in your team color last year, or did you not struggle with it as much as you thought that you would? Also love Ali spreadsheets. They're so useful, and I love all the stats. That is the thing that I love the most at the end of the year. I love everybody's end of year reading stats. I love everybody's end of year wrap ups. I love sitting down with my spreadsheet that I've just shown you here, and that I can go back and look at how many books did I read from an author who was from the US, or how many audiobooks did I read across the year, or how many books did I read by specific publishers? Are there any that I'm reaching out for more than others? I absolutely go feral for stats. So when December, January kind of time comes, that's my sweet spot on YouTube. 30% of my Berlin book. I think I'll be able to get it done today, and I'm ready to go to other books. Exactly. That is such a good like push through when you're just like, I'm finished with this one mentally. I'm not finished it physically, but I need to read something else. I think you'll get there. Don't worry. Got distracted by playing Unpacker. That all happens. It always happens, so don't worry. Got no reading done. Got sidetracked talking to my friend on the phone. You see, you always get sidetracked with these, so don't worry. We've been reading for quite a long time already. We've got a lot more reading that's going to be coming, so don't stress out if you have done something else for a sprint or two. Where can I get these spreadsheets from Ali? I believe her YouTube name is Hardback Hoarder, so you will find her spreadsheet there, but I would also recommend Copal from G from Book Roast. Her spreadsheets are also really good as well, and they are really prettily colored as well. Read Solitaire yesterday by the one who does the Heartstopper series. That would be Alice Oseman. And I have to admit, it wasn't really for me. It's probably about a 3-star. That's completely fine. Everybody will read the same book in a different way. Somebody who might have read your favorite book will give it a 2-star. Somebody who might have read a book that you hated might give it a 5-star and it was their best of the year. That's something I love about books so much, in that they're so subjective and that they are so personal to everybody's flavors and everybody's tastes. Nobody's going to read the same book in the same way that you read it. I have a goal of reading all the Brandon Sanderson these books this year, and I have 2 UK covers, so I have a lot of white that I've been reading this year. Yeah, sometimes there's just a lot of colors that will turn up time and time and time again. Almost all the sci-fi that I have is either blue or purple or orange. Those seem to be very popular colors for sci-fi for some reason. I think it just gives it a little bit of a spacey vibe for me. Ali has videos for her spreadsheet, so you can take a look. Her 2024, she made her normal yearly one and a 5-year one. That 5-year one is phenomenal. I'm definitely going to have to go and check that out, because I love a long-term, like, stats. I love long-term watching stuff. Gonna go check that out for sure. Normally my reading is popular books this year too late, or books that nobody has heard of. I do that too. Like, one of my books on my host favorite, I was not expecting a lot of people to have known what it was, namely The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. It came out, I think, June of last year, but I don't know how popular it is outside of Ireland, the UK, Europe. I know a couple of people who would have heard of it from America. I think actually it came out on my birthday in the States, but I don't know a lot of people who would have heard of it. I don't know a lot of people who would have been super familiar with it. But we've gotten to the end of the comments. We've gotten to the end of the sprints. As I said, we are all going to go and we are all going to hang out with Margaret for the next couple of hours. If you are here, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to press anything. Stay put. We are going to be transported directly across to Margaret's sprints. I don't know how this works. It's the magic of technology. But I've had such a great time reading with you guys. I hope you guys have had a really great morning too. I hope you've been productive, whether you've been reading, whether you have been cleaning, whether you have been parenting, whatever you have been doing. I hope you've had a good morning. And we're going to see each other over with Margaret in about 7 minutes. Let's go get some coffee. Let's go get some water. Let's go and stretch, move around, go to the bathroom, do what we need to do, and we'll see each other in about 7 minutes.